right. Thank you for tuning in. 21 minutes after 9 o'clock. A lot of times you will hear in advance that we have an author or a guest coming on of some sort, and I will hear from a lot of you saying, oh my gosh, I'm a big fan. I love this guy. I love this lady, right? Well, this morning, I'm with you. I have been a fan of Dr. Ken Blanchard for a very, very long time. I hope he remembers this. He doesn't know me, and we've never met, but there's something I read in one of his early books that I've always thought of, and I always think of him every time I think of this, and this is what it was. It was talking about managing time, and he wrote that as a writer, he can spend an hour writing in the morning, or he can spend an hour cutting the grass, and he pays the grass guy $20. I guess that was back then. I don't know what they charge now, right? But in an hour of writing, he can make more than $20. So it makes more sense to write for that hour and pay somebody to cut the grass. And I've always thought of that. That's right. Pay the guy to cut the grass and do the thing that I know how to do that makes more money. Dr. Ken Blanchard is the Chief Spiritual Officer of the Ken Blanchard Companies. He's a speaker, a business guru. His new book is called Self-Leadership and the 1-Minute Manager. Ken, Doctor, I should say, it's an honor to have you on our show. Good morning, sir.
Ken's fine, and it's a pleasure. Thank you so much. And yeah, I've gotten out of that grass cutting.
Well, can you see the starstruckness in my face? Can you see it, or in my voice?
Well, I appreciate it. It's I've just been so blessed over the years. I mean, when you think about it, the 1-Minute Manager came out 35 years ago, and it still sells like crazy. In fact, we updated it. We have the new 1-Minute Manager and all. And self-leadership of the 1-Minute Manager is an outgrowth of that, because it's really about how can you take initiative for your own success rather than sitting around waiting for somebody to tell you what to do.
Absolutely. I love that. And I think that's why I started following you all those years ago. The one thing I wanted to ask you about is today compared to, am I going to embarrass you? I think it was 30 years ago that I read your book. It seems like a long time ago. Does that seem right?
Yes. Oh, for sure. It came out in 1982.
Oh, okay. But one thing, in today's world, for example, a lot of students are doing that study at home stuff, or a lot of people are working at home with their computers. You really have to be self-driven in order to do that.
Yes, and I think that's what's happened with advances in technology. Operations are so decentralized now, with all these people working remotely. And the other thing, Jack, is that, with things changing so fast, people who are doing their job often know a lot more about it than their boss did. In the old days, the boss knew, and told you what to do. And today's workforce, I think, demands a more collaborative working environment, and they want increased work-life integration. So it's really exciting, because I think people need to be trained to be self-leaders so they can set priorities, take initiative, and solve problems independently. And boy, what a difference that makes in an organizational environment when you have people that are on fire.
Do you think it's also collaborative leadership? Do you think a self-leader is effective only if he's collaborating with another self-leader?
Yeah, I think that's really important, because with self-leadership, you're trying to reach out to get the help you need, whether it's from a peer, whether it's from your boss, even whether it's for somebody that works for you. One of the things we're finding, Jack, is that the number one ingredient to create a wonderful work environment is for people to ask for help and realize they don't have all the answers. Wow, I can contribute something. This person's not a know-it-all.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's probably true. If I were to look at an old picture of myself from 30 years ago, I probably look better in that picture than I do now. But if I could look inside my psyche at that time, I didn't believe in myself as much as I do now. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of that has to do with your writing. Because in your writing, you've said this over and over and over again, is that you have the ability to do stuff. You just got to believe in yourself.
That's right. I think, if you're not for yourself, who isn't? I always say to people when I do speeches, at conferences, this is going to be the best speech you've had in the whole conference, because a friend of mine said, if you don't blow your own horn, somebody else is going to use it as a spittoon.
Motivation is self-motivation for me is a little difficult when I have a son and a daughter, and they all have their own families now. But when they were growing up, I had no problem motivating myself or motivating them, to do a whole lot of things that we did. And now that they're gone, I mean, they're living elsewhere, and I'm here. It's kind of hard to self-motivate, and you really teach people how to do that, because it's you tell them, don't put anything on the back burner, just keep going. This is your purpose in life.
That's right, and you need to be proactive, to get what you need to succeed. You need to ask for the help you need. If you're an enthusiastic beginner, in a particular task, you need direction, and if you're somebody who's, got the skills but maybe lacks the confidence, you might need support, or you might need both direction and support, or you could just need to be left alone. You got to ask for what you need.
I found the book on Amazon. It's getting really good reviews from the readers who have written on Amazon to review you. And you've written this with two co-authors, Susan Fowler and Lawrence Hawkins. Tell me a little bit about them.
Well, we have a wonderful group of what we call consulting partners, people that work with us, and both Susan and Lori are people that go out and do the training and all. And Susan also is quite an author of her own. She's been working a lot of stuff on motivation, what motivates people. And so my mother used to say to me, you get a kick out of it, why don't you write a book by yourself, because I've written over 60 books, but I've only written 2 by myself. One on golf, so many people helped my golf game. I didn't do it. And the other is my spiritual journey, and I didn't think I could co-author that. But I love to learn, and so working with Susan and Lori was just a joy. And of course, they're out pitching this program and doing a lot of good things, and so it's really fun. And Lori Hawkins was our first consulting partner, so I've worked with him for 40 years.
Yeah. Ken, it is truly an honor. I am a fan. I don't say that to every guest. In fact, I hardly say it to any guest. Thank you for being on our show. I have a copy of the book here. Call me if you want it. The rest of us have to go buy it. I found it on Amazon. Before we say goodbye, do you have a website of your own?
Yes, we have a new website called KenBlanchardBooks.com, and you can go on there and decide if you're interested in self-leadership or team leadership, or you're interested in managing by values, and you can go. And so I've written 60 books, so you can find out what they all are about and by categories.
Very good.
Go on KenBlanchardBooks.com.
And the first step is to stop mowing the lawn, pay somebody to do it, make better money on your own time. Hey, thank you, Ken. Thank you, Dr. Blanchard, for being on the show with us today.
All right, take care of yourself. God bless.
You too. We will be right back.
Post in Afghanistan and was captured by the Taliban in 2009.
Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl, who came home to the U.S. in a controversial prisoner swap with the Taliban during the Obama administration, is set to appear at court-martial today at Fort Bragg in North Carolina. It's believed by many that Bergdahl's act of leaving his post and getting captured led to the deaths of soldiers tasked with recovering him.
Fox Radio's Eben Brown. Bergdahl has said he believes it would be impossible to receive a fair trial after comments from then-candidate Trump. It was a mile and a half from shore, but some near the Louisiana lake where an oil rig exploded last night, reporting it even rattled homes.
At this point, we're not seeing anything that's actually hurting any homes, any residents.
Kenner, Louisiana Mayor Ben Zahn, at least 7 people hurt, 1 missing in the blast on Lake Pontchartrain. Fox News, we report, you decide.
You know those families who